Are you a photographer who's burnt out, overworked, and underpaid? Do you feel you are hustling but are stuck? This April at CICE 2025, Kim and Gary are going to share a proven way out by showing you how to align your ambition with a strong business practice that lead to a profitable and sustainable business for you. But what qualifies them to be on stage? They have recently been ranked as one of the top 10 photographers worldwide and number one in Canada for the last 4 years in a row by OneEyeland. Gary Evans Photography has won numerous awards for their outstanding work. Gary is a technical photography wizard. Kim is a marketing system and logistic queen. Together, they travel the world teaching other photographers and creatives both technical and business skills. Hello, Kim. Hello, Gary. Thank you for taking the time out to chat with me. I'm so excited to meet both of you and virtually, but I'm looking forward to meeting you at CICE.
Hi,
Hey,
nice to meet you.
thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
So excited.
Okay, I have been snooping around your website, and the two of you have a very interesting story. Kim, do you want to introduce yourself and talk about how the two of you came together?
Absolutely. So I'm Kim. This is Gary. Together we are photographers. We have a business called Gary Evans Photography. We also love doing educational videos and everything like that, speaking and teaching other photographers, just so they can kind of have, I guess, what we have, which is some great flexibility, and we love what we do. So we actually met in 2012. Gary was happened to be over in Canada. He's from Wales. And he was over in Canada helping another photographer that he knew at a wedding show. I, at the time, was a designer and floral designer who also had a booth kind of on the next row at the same wedding show. And we sort of ended up knowing the same person, getting to chatting over the weekend, hung out for a couple weeks while he was here. And then over the next year and a half, we flew, I think, 50,000 miles back and forth to the UK. And then Gary sold
Then it was getting serious.
everything.
It was getting serious. The commute to see each other
Yeah.
was not sustainable. It was an
There
expensive
was
commute.
there was good airport days and then
Yeah,
really awful airport days where you
yeah,
had to send your person back.
yeah.
And he sold everything and moved to Canada. We got married. We have a little boy
It was almost
together.
10.
He's
Yeah.
almost 10 now.
That's quite the story. And I'm glad both of you agree to the same story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
could definitely have our own like romantic comedy
Yeah, as Kim said, after 18 months after meeting, I literally sold everything I had in the UK, house, car, furniture,
business.
business, everything that I had. And I came to Canada with a suitcase full of clothes, my cameras, and I like road cycling, so I brought a bike with me as well. And that was it.
Well, congratulations, guys.
Thank
And
you.
Gary, how did photography come into your life? And as a photographer, what were some of the challenges you faced initially setting up?
Yeah. I'd always had an interest in photography, and for my 18th birthday, I wanted a camera, and I got a camera for my 18th birthday. I remember going to my local camera shop in Grantham in the UK, and I bought a Pentax P50. It was a film camera with a 24-105 lens, and basically I would shoot whatever I could on film at the time. And then, work got in the way, and I used to play a lot of sport. And then when I was in my early 30s, I tore my ACL playing rugby, and it took like a year's worth of physio to get back to walking and running again. And I was of the age where I was too old to carry on playing sport. But I didn't know what to do on a Saturday because I'd always played sport on the Saturday. And so it was just at the time when digital cameras were coming out. And so I bought a digital camera off eBay. It was a Canon 10D. I bought a lens and I would go up to my local rugby club and I would photograph the guys playing rugby. And then I would basically give the rugby club the images so then they could use them on their website and I think Facebook had just come out at the time, so they could put them onto Facebook and things. And then one of the guys who was playing rugby asked if I was available to shoot his wedding. And I'd never shot a wedding before, but I agreed to it. And I met his fiance and said what we could do on the day. And she was like, yes. So they booked me. And then panic set in. It was like, oh my God, I've got to shoot this person's wedding. So I literally would research and look at as many photographers' websites as I could, looking at images and researching. But shot their wedding. It went well. They were super happy with the images. And then it kind of like progressed from there. Then the next guy that I knew played rugby was getting married. And so I shot their wedding and shot their wedding. Yeah. Challenges when I first started was, I'd say a few was one of them was probably developing your own look to the photos.
So Kim, now I know this is an area a lot of photographers struggle with. But how did you become the queen of marketing systems and logistics?
Well,
she's very smart.
Self-proclaimed. I think that sort of my background of what I've done sort of career-wise, I used to be the director of sales and marketing for a hotel. So I really have a good understanding of the venues that we work with and those relationships and that kind of thing. I also like in our business and how we run everything, I don't get bogged down in editing because that's not my department. So as far as kind of having that, how we run our business is always top of mind. That is actually what I deal with all of the time. So I'm not kind of going out and doing shoots. I'm not doing editing and that kind of, I feel like that's a kind of completely different part of your brain that you're using at that point. I used to be a wedding planner. So as far as running a day or running anything like that, we also offer like pop-up weddings, which is 7 weddings back to back in a day. So the amount of logistics that we have for one of those days, but we do it 20 times a year.
I think it also, she's really good at putting together like a workflow or a system that the end person in mind isn't us. It's the client who's receiving our services. So she's very good at focusing on client experience and what can we put together, what workflows can we develop that will enhance that client's experience with us. And she's great at that, so I just leave it to her.
Certainly. That's now pop-up wedding. That's an interesting thought. No, I think we are very fortunate to have you at CICE, and I know that you can't reveal too much of what you're going to say. But if you were to give a teaser, okay, as to what your talk is going to be about, or maybe talk a little bit about what a photographer would gain if they were there in the audience.
I'm teaching a workflow workshop, so all about rocking your workflow. And I'm not going to show you spreadsheets because I don't want to kind of make it seem boring, but it's going to be really amazing. But in the workshop, we're actually going to be building workflows. So looking at our client experience and actually building, kind of breaking down your client experience and your client journey from what happens when they book with you. You know, when do they get that next email? Can you put, other things kind of through that process to really enhance your client experience? And then how can we build those in a CRM? Like we use 17 Hats. We love it, but there's lots of other options. So how can you build that out so you can give like this really top-notch client experience, but you're not doing extra work. So you're really like your productivity is staying high. You automate where it's possible, which can be a little scary when you're first starting out. But it's just sort of not duplicating your efforts. So you can give that really beautiful hand-holding experience to a bride. So that is our workflow workshop, which is Friday at 1 p.m. I'm very excited for that. We're also going to, if anyone's ever taken a class with us, we're obsessed with giving really great takeaways and things that you can use and implement in your business. So 100% we'll be giving away some of our own workflows, emails, that kind of thing that we use. So it's at least a jumping off point that you guys can get started with. And then Sunday at 8 a.m., hopefully fueled by much coffee, to do like an 8 a.m. Talking about shoot and burn to IPS. This one is like so special to us because it was such a huge transformation for our business. And we used to think that we were doing such a great service by giving away all the digital files and then sending them off on their own to sort of print whatever they wanted from wherever. And we kind of came to realize that we were sort of like providing this unbelievable client experience and holding their hand the whole way and then just pushing them off the cliff at the end and being like, well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
You know,
thanks very much. Goodbye.
We know exactly where to go and how to do it, but enjoy designing your own album, you know? You know, what if you could get an extra $500 from each client that already knows and loves you? In that class, we're just going to go over like why we do IPS and then really how to start to transition your business using some systems and some of our favorite products and some of our favorite suppliers, and then looking at setting some goals of like how to get that kind of going.
So yeah, as for me, what am I talking about? It's something that's really dear to me. It's something that I'm going to talk about, the dramatic wedding portraits that we shoot, and it's kind of a way to help you stand out in a very saturated market. So I'm going to be talking about the different lighting that I use. You know, I use off-camera flash for these type of portraits. I shoot them very differently than my normal shooting style. They're often underexposed, and then we use the flash to highlight the couple. And then the end result of these images, they're kind of like a hybrid or a crossover between a photograph and a painting. We're going to be talking a little bit about the editing workflow that we use for those. I'm going to talk about how I pose my couples, because these are very well controlled images. They're not a photojournalistic image. It's more a directed cinematic look that we're going for. So we're looking big drama, big skies, beautiful architecture. I'm always looking for something that's interesting in the background. So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about. And we'll be doing a little bit of shooting as well, and how I use off-camera flash to develop kind of like different looks and silhouettes. And even in the daytime, we can do a silhouette, or nighttime if you're stuck for something to do and you're in a venue that looks terrible. You can still produce something that your clients will be like, "Whoa, how did you do that?"
Nice, and you're actually going to show how you do that. That's so exciting.
Yeah, we're gonna shoot some. If there's a model out, and I'll just pull someone off stage and we'll just set it up and we'll shoot it. Well, everybody outside, let's go.
No,
No,
you're not allowed to.
I'm not allowed to go outside. Okay, we'll do something inside.
It's in an auditorium.
Really? Oh, okay.
Let's wrap up this interview with some quick rapid fire questions. You ready for that? Gary, we'll start with you.
Go.
A nervous or a tense moment at a wedding that you'll never forget?
I have one from the UK, and this was like the wedding that almost never happened. It was, I don't know if you know, but the rules in the UK if you're getting married in a church is you have to get married between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. If it's after that, then they literally physically by law, they cannot marry you. And we had this one wedding that was a 3 o'clock ceremony, but the weather in the UK the day before had been really, really bad. There was floods everywhere. and the bride was coming from quite a distance away, and she had to go through floods, road closures, and everything. And for the ceremony that was supposed to start at 3 o'clock, she turned up at the church at 5:55. So the priest had 5 minutes to marry them, and it was one of the quickest ceremonies that I've ever been to. Everyone that was there, I've never heard a louder cheer in a church when they said, you may kiss the bride and whatever, and everyone was just like, oh my God, it happened. We were like, yes.
The wedding that almost never happened.
The wedding that almost never happened.
Okay, three things in your bag that you cannot live without.
The first thing is my 50mm 1.2 Sony lens. I love that lens. It literally stays on my camera and doesn't come off. Sorry, I gotta lean in. So that definitely, my spider holster. I wouldn't know what to do with my I always carry 2 cameras with just different lenses. So my spider holster, absolutely can't do without it. I've tried the shoulder straps, don't like them. The spider holster helps my back because all the weight is just taken on my hips. So absolutely that one.
And you look like a cowboy.
And I look like a cowboy. So I do pretend I'm like, I walk through, like two gunning. And the other thing I would say is the MagMod products. I use those for all my off-camera flash, the spheres, the grids, the color gels.
A wedding photographer whose work absolutely inspires you.
Okay, can I talk about more than one, because I have 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always looking for more. Always trying to get more. I have 3. One, I really, really like Two Man Studios, Erica and Lanny. I like them how they work as a pair. Like I see Kim and I work together a lot. They work together a lot. Another photographer who I really like is Lily Red. I just think her style is really pretty. And then it would be remiss of me if I didn't mention our own wedding photographer who shot our wedding in Mexico. He's a friend of mine from the UK. His name is James Rouse, and it's James Rouse Photography. And he is I don't know, how would you describe him? He's
like a light.
He's like a ray of sunlight. He's just such a jolly, happy, smiley, giggly person. And his photography is brilliant.
So, Kim, a wedding destination that you absolutely loved?
I mean, I would definitely say our own wedding in Mexico was the best wedding we've ever been to. But, I love traveling. We both love traveling. And so we are on a mission to actually go to different places and create some beautiful weddings in those places. So we've created a retreat for wedding photographers. So now I get to just kind of choose the wedding destination that I've always wanted to go to and then kind of tailor something around that. So I've been promised to go to Italy for a long time. So that's where we're going next. We just came from France. So, which was also equally beautiful. To be at a chateau in France shooting a wedding is pretty, you can't really complain too much, right? So I think that's sort of our favorite destinations are the ones yet to come, I think.
Yep.
So if there was one thing that you could change or do differently if you were to start over?
Gary and I are big planners for our lives, and we have long-term visions and we know this year we want to do this, in 2 years we want to do this, and literally every time that we veer off of this path that we've decided on, it goes wrong. It just
it bites us in the butt.
If something was seems like a spur of the moment really amazing idea that this should be great, it's never. It's do not go off the path is the way that it works best for us.
Yeah.
So outside of your work and Gary's work, what's the one thing that you love to do personally or together?
We like to drink wine and order margaritas.
Yeah.
And
food.
Hang out with our kids.
We like to be together as a family when we're not working.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Sometimes you want to just freeze the kids at that age,
Oh, yeah.
I guess taking pictures of them is the next best thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
exactly.
Totally.
Well, thank you both such a lot.
Thank you for having us.
I am so looking forward to meeting you in person in April at CICE 2025. And I hope to our audience that you'll have got your tickets because it's going to be quite the show.
We're going to
Thanks.
have some fun.
We're going to have some fun, and we'll have a glass of wine or two as well.